Hello and welcome to this tutorial for Blackboard Learn. Today we're going to take an overview look at the Grade Center. So here we are in our Blackboard course. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and get into my content menu, click Grade Center, and then I'll click on Full Grade Center. This is going to open up my Grade Center panel. So for the sake of this demo, I'm going to hide this left-hand navigation so you have a little bit more real estate to look at in this tutorial. Alright, here we are in the Full Grade Center. The first thing that you'll notice is that the Grade Center is going to feature some columns that will not be able to be removed. These are called system columns, and what they do is feed information about the particular user that is in your course. So for example, their username. We don't really put a student ID into our system, so this one's going to remain blank. The last access column, it shows when the student last accessed the Blackboard system, and finally the availability within the system. Now, since we don't use these columns and they don't show very helpful information, we can hide them. So one way to hide a column is by highlighting the column at the top, clicking the drop-down arrow, and clicking Hide Column. You'll notice that one gets hidden. It's going to give you some more information at the top if there's been success in hiding columns or whatever you might do in your Grade Center. So let's go through everything that we can see right here in Grade Center. The very first thing you might notice is this button that says Create Column. What that does is it drops a column right into your Blackboard Grade Center and allows you to enter in grades immediately. So let's go ahead and add a column. Click and Create Column. Give it a column name. So let's say we had to do an oral presentation and you're going to get your grade into Blackboard for all your students, so you can put in oral presentation. And then a little bit lower on the page you'll have a few other options. So Grade Center name, what that says is if this is a really long name, you can give an abbreviated name here and that will show as the Grade Center column name. I typically just leave my column name alone unless there is something really long. Description, if you wanted to describe what the item was about. I'm not going to do any description right now. Now primary display will show how you want to input the grade. So if you're grading based on score, it's going to give you the ability to enter in a score. You do have a few other options here. A CSU-Pueblo letter schema, that column would calculate a letter grade, and we'll talk about schemas in just a moment. Some of the other ones allow you to put in a text value, a percentage, or just a complete incomplete status. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one on score. Now there is a secondary display, and it's important to understand how this works. The secondary display is only for the instructors. Students will never see the secondary display. And the purpose of it is to be able to see two kind of displays at once. So maybe you want to see the score of an item and the percentage that they're using, or possibly the letter schema. You can make that decision there. Otherwise leave it at none and you'll only see the primary display. Depending on how you do your grading, if you're into weighting your grades or not, you may have to categorize your columns. In this particular column, I'm not going to be weighting the grades, but in a later tutorial you can check out how you would set up weights within Blackboard. So the only other area that you'll need to add in some information is the points possible. So if you remember, we named this column, we've set the primary score, and now we're going to enter in the points. So the points possible will be 50 for this particular assignment. You can associate a rubric with this column if you'd like. I'm going to scroll down and add in a due date. Go ahead and just leave what comes in there. And then you have the option to include this column in the Grade Center calculations. Now what that means is that you'll have a total column that's going to total all the points up and give some sort of a grade. And by default, it's already going to be part of that column calculation. The other areas that you can use are the show the column to students, which we do want to do, and you can show statistics, which is by default turned to no. But if you're really interested in showing the average or median to the class, you can do that there. So once I hit submit, it's going to drop the column at the end of my Grade Center. So here's my oral presentation column. And now it's easy as clicking into the grade cell and entering in the score that was earned. And now if you hit the enter key, you'll progress to the next student's grade and continue entering in grades. Very simple. The next button that you'll see is create a calculated column. Now all a calculated column is going to do is give you the ability to use some of the columns that you've already put in there that were just normal columns and put them together in various ways. You can average columns, you can do minimum, maximums. One of the two that you'll use more frequently are either total column or weighted column. Total column will total certain columns together and create that total in a single area. And weighted allows you to weight your grades, so you can have different percentages associated with assignment groups or categories, if you will. And I said we'll go over that a little bit later. You do have the Manage button. It's going to have a few different items that you can manage within your Grade Center, such as grading periods, so times that you'll be grading particular assignments. You'll also have a grading schema. We talked about that just a moment ago. What kind of letter grades will show in there, if you have plus or minus in your grading schema, or maybe you just do straight A, B, C, Ds. You'll also have a new thing called grading codes. So what grading codes are a color-coded way to look at your Grade Center. So if a student drops below a certain percentage, that cell could light up a color. It's a nice way for you to take an overview look at your Grade Center and see what students are struggling on. You'll also have categories, so if you're going to be weighting your Grade Center and you want to break it up into different category types, you'll be able to do that there. And with Smart Views, you'll be able to craft the way that you see your Grade Center. So you might want to see all the assignments at once that were done in the semester, or possibly all the tests and things like that. You can set that up in Smart Views. Now, column organization is a big button, and that's going to give you the ability to rearrange the look of your Grade Center. Right now, you saw when we did the Create Column button, it put it at the end of the Grade Center. There's no way for me to put it in a particular order unless I go to the column organization button. Now, there's a few other things that we can do from there, but again, we'll go through that once we get in a little bit more depth. Row visibility shows rows that have been turned on or off, so you can remove the visibility of a user. For example, if I went to user 2 and I hit hide row, they'll be hidden from your Grade Center, but they'll still be part of the course. So you would have to go to row visibility to bring them back. And finally, you have the send email button. The send email button is just a part of the course that you can instantly send an email to students if you need. Finally, you have a reports where you can create reports. The View Grade History button shows any changes or any grades that had been put into your Grade Center, and it timestamps it. So if you ever needed to backtrack, or if you had some sort of teacher assistant putting in grades and you need to verify that a particular grade was put in there right, you can look at that through the View Grade History. Some other buttons that might be helpful are the Filter button. It gives you the ability to filter your course and look at specific subsets of assignments, look at categories, and look at other statuses. And then finally, the Work Offline button gives you the ability to upload and download your Grade Center into an Excel spreadsheet. It does save it in the CSV form, but it will open in Excel. Now, one of the things that you'll have to be careful of is if you decide to download your Grade Center and input some grades, you'll have to keep it in the original CSV format that you downloaded it as. Otherwise, you won't be able to upload the grades back into Blackboard. So that includes this overview look at the Grade Center. Look for more in-depth tutorials on each individual tool within the Grade Center to get a little bit more insight as to how things work. And that concludes this tutorial for Blackboard Learn.